What if everything you thought you knew about your favorite celebrities was only half the story? Behind the glamour of Hollywood lies a reality few ever get to see. Some of its biggest stars have undergone transformations so profound, they didn't just change their image, they reshaped their identity, their purpose, and their place in the world. But the truth is, most people only see the headlines, not the struggle, the fear, or the defining moments behind the scenes. In this video, we uncover those hidden journeys, the before, the after, and the real cost of change, including one story at the end that will truly surprise you. Leah T. Leah T has over time become one of the most compelling and quietly transformative figures in global fashion, not by seeking attention, but by reshaping how beauty itself is understood. Born in Brazil and introduced to the international stage through her close collaboration with Riccardo Tisci at Givenchy, she rose within an industry long defined by image precision and idealized perfection. Yet her influence has extended far beyond runways and magazine covers. Long before recognition, Leah T faced the deeply personal challenge of living authentically in a world that often celebrates appearance while struggling to accept the deeper realities of identity. That contrast gave her journey a quiet strength and emotional depth that audiences could not ignore. Her presence carried meaning beyond fashion. It reflected a search for alignment between who she was and how the world saw her. Her defining breakthrough came when she openly embraced her identity as a transgender woman while working at the highest levels of the industry. In doing so, she became more than a model. She became a symbol of change. At a time when beauty standards remained narrow, her visibility helped expand them into something more human, inclusive, and real. Yet visibility brought challenges. Alongside admiration came scrutiny, expectation, and the pressure of representing more than just herself. Even in the most refined spaces, assumptions and judgment persisted. Still, Leah T carried herself with grace, dignity, and quiet resilience. That is why her legacy endures. She represents not only personal success, but a broader cultural shift showing that authenticity can challenge tradition and redefine what true beauty really means. Jen Richards. Jen Richards has become one of the most thoughtful and influential voices in Hollywood's ongoing conversation about transgender representation, not simply by being visible, but by insisting that visibility be grounded in dignity, honesty, and lived experience. As an actress, writer, and producer, she is widely recognized for her work on Her Story Transparent and Mrs. Fletcher projects that have helped reshape how transgender lives are portrayed on screen. Yet what truly sets her apart is that she never entered the industry merely hoping for acceptance or a place within it. From the very beginning, she set out to challenge the narratives themselves, asking deeper questions about not just who is represented, but how those stories are told. For decades, transgender characters were often confined to narrow and limiting roles reduced to stereotypes used as punchlines or portrayed as tragic figures. They were present but rarely understood with any depth or authenticity. Jen recognized this imbalance early on, and it became central to her purpose. Her breakthrough came with Her Story, a project that offered something rare and necessary: transgender characters portrayed with intelligence, humor, vulnerability, and emotional depth. It was more than representation. It was a long overdue correction that replaced shallow portrayals with honesty and humanity. That kind of progress did not come easily. Jen faced limited opportunities, industry bias, and the ongoing burden of having to explain her identity before being allowed to simply create. Still, she persisted, writing, performing, and advocating for more meaningful storytelling. Today, her influence extends far beyond any single role. Jen Richards represents a turning point in Hollywood, demonstrating that real lives deserve to be told with honesty, complexity, and heart. Scott Turner Scofield. Scott Turner Scofield built his reputation not through spectacle or sudden fame, but through steady, meaningful progress. As an actor, writer, and producer, he has become a quiet yet important pioneer in advancing transgender representation in American entertainment. His recurring role on The Bold and the Beautiful marked a significant milestone, making him one of the first openly transgender actors to appear in an ongoing role on daytime television. It was not a moment driven by headlines or controversy, yet its cultural impact was clear and lasting. Long before many viewers recognized his name, Scott was already doing the more difficult work behind the scenes, advocating for authentic storytelling, challenging narrow assumptions, and helping create space for others to follow. His journey was never about instant recognition. Instead, it was shaped by persistence, patience, and a strong belief that representation should be thoughtful, accurate, and grounded in real experience. He worked in an industry where transgender individuals were often misunderstood, overlooked, or portrayed without depth. Rather than waiting for change to happen, Scott chose to be part of the force that created it. His presence on mainstream television signaled a broader cultural shift, one moving toward greater understanding and inclusion. Still, that progress came with challenges. He faced stereotypes, expectations, and the pressure of being seen as a symbol before simply being recognized as a person. Yet he remained steady, focused on long-term impact rather than short-term attention. That is why his story matters. Scott Turner Scofield represents a quiet, lasting transformation, one rooted in integrity, resilience, and the belief that meaningful progress is built gradually over time. Dorfman. Tommy Dorfman first gained widespread recognition through her role on 13 Reasons Why, where her performance quickly set her apart as one of the show's most memorable young talents. From the outside, her rise seemed perfectly timed, bringing visibility, opportunity, and a public image that appeared to align with Hollywood's expectations. Yet, beneath that growing success was a far more personal and complex journey. Like many in the spotlight, Tommy faced the challenge of being seen in ways that did not fully reflect who she truly was. That quiet tension remained present for years, even as her career continued to move forward and her public profile expanded. A turning point eventually came, one that reshaped how audiences understood both her identity and her path. When Tommy began speaking openly about her transition and embraced life publicly as a woman, it became clear this was not about reinvention or attention. It was about alignment, bringing her public life into closer harmony with her private truth. That honesty resonated because it felt genuine, thoughtful, and deeply human. Of course, living that truth in the public eye brought its own challenges. She faced scrutiny, expectations, and moments of misunderstanding, all while trying to protect something deeply personal. Yet through it all, she carried herself with calmness and clarity, choosing authenticity over outward image. Her journey did not unfold overnight. It reflected growth, reflection, and the courage to move forward at her own pace. That is why her story continues to resonate. Tommy Dorfman represents a quieter kind of courage, one rooted in self-discovery, emotional freedom, and the strength that comes from finally being fully seen both by the world and by oneself. Sahar. Sahar rose to wider recognition through her role as Lulu Ferocity on Pose, a groundbreaking series that brought ballroom culture, queer history, and transgender lives into the mainstream. On screen, she carries herself with elegance, confidence, and a quiet warmth. Yet behind that presence is a life shaped by real challenges and deeply personal experiences. Long before Hollywood opened its doors, Haley faced struggles familiar to many transgender women: rejection, instability, judgment, and the daily effort to hold on to dignity in difficult circumstances. Those early hardships did not define her limits. Instead, they helped build the resilience and emotional depth she would later bring to her work. Pose marked a turning point not only in her career, but in broader cultural visibility. The show was more than a success. It was a milestone that allowed transgender women to be portrayed with nuance, humanity, glamour, and strength. Through her performance, Haley helped bring forward stories that had long been overlooked or misunderstood. With increased visibility, however, came new pressures. Expectations grew, stereotypes persisted, and she often carried the weight of representing more than just herself. Navigating that space required balance, self-awareness, and inner strength. Through it all, she remained grounded. In every role, she brought grace, honesty, and a steady sense of self, choosing authenticity over expectation. That is what makes her journey so meaningful. Haley Sahar represents resilience, authenticity, and the enduring power of being seen and heard on one's own terms, reminding audiences that true strength often comes from lived experience and the courage to move forward with dignity. Gabby Tuft. Gabby Tuft was first known to many fans as Tyler Rex in WWE, a physically imposing performer defined by intensity and a strongly masculine image. To the public, she appeared confident, powerful, and fully in control. Yet behind that persona was a deeply personal struggle that remained largely unseen. In later years, Gabby spoke openly about the disconnect between outward success and inner truth. For a long time, that tension quietly grew beneath a character that seemed unshakable. While her career projected strength and certainty privately, she was navigating questions of identity that could not be set aside forever. In 2021, she made the life-changing decision to come out as transgender. The response was immediate and for many unexpected. But what made that moment truly meaningful was not the contrast, it was the honesty behind it. Stepping away from an identity so closely tied to her career required not only courage, but a willingness to begin again in full public view. That decision brought real challenges, including scrutiny, misunderstanding, and the need to rebuild both personally and professionally. It meant redefining how she was seen while also learning to stand firmly in her truth. Still, Gabby moved forward with openness, resilience, and determination. She embraced a new chapter, one grounded not in performance but in authenticity. Today, she is more than a former wrestler. Gabby Tuft has become a speaker fitness coach and source of encouragement for others navigating their own journeys. Her story reflects a different kind of strength, one not rooted in dominance, but in honesty, self-acceptance, and the courage to live authentically. Laverne Cox. Laverne Cox stands as one of the most recognizable transgender figures in modern Hollywood. For many Americans, her name became widely known through her breakout role as Sophia Bursay on Orange is the New Black. That performance did more than bring her fame. It introduced mainstream audiences to a transgender woman portrayed with humor, vulnerability, dignity, and genuine humanity. Yet long before red carpets and award nominations, her journey was shaped by real hardship. Laverne has spoken candidly about growing up while facing rejection, bullying, and the pressure of living in a world that often tried to define her before she could define herself. There were periods marked by loneliness, questions of self-worth, and the emotional weight that comes with choosing authenticity in an environment that was not always accepting. Her breakthrough came when Orange is the New Black became a cultural phenomenon. In that moment, Laverne became more than a performer. She became a symbol of change, helping shift public understanding of transgender lives in a meaningful way. With that visibility came responsibility. She faced public scrutiny, misunderstanding, and the expectation of representing an entire community. Still, she did not step back. Instead, she used her platform to speak openly about issues of transgender rights, race, beauty, and identity, encouraging conversations rooted in honesty and self-acceptance. Her influence extends beyond acting alone. Through interviews, public speaking, and advocacy, she has helped broaden the cultural conversation in ways that continue to resonate. That is why her impact endures. Laverne Cox represents more than success in entertainment. She reflects the power of visibility to reshape culture. offering hope and reminding many that living truthfully is both possible and deeply meaningful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.